Celeste has a dream about her late mom, and her late mom warns her not to close her eyes during the prayer that was going to be happening at the next assembly. She also warns Celeste not to eat at the school's cafeteria. During the assembly, when the prayer begins and all the other students close their eyes, hers are wide open. When your parent who has passed on, who loved you when they were alive, comes in your dreams and warns you, you always listen to them. It might be your parents, it might be a sibling, it might be a grandparent or a great-grandparent. You always listen to them. Please and thank you. What does Celeste see? A whole snake hovering above the school. And while she is observing this snake hovering above the school, the snake spots her and gives her a look as though she's not even supposed to be there, let alone staring right back at it. When Celeste then directs her gaze towards the headmaster / preacher, his eyes are wide open, my love, of course they are. And he's giving her angry looks like, what are you up to? Why are you not being obedient and being a dummy and a sheep like all the other students and doing what I tell you to do? While the headmaster is looking at Celeste, the snake, which was black and red, then vanishes from hovering above the school. When Celeste comes home, before she even says anything to Grandma tells her that the marine spirits had informed her that the school cafeteria is where the snake hides. And that everyone who eats the food from the cafeteria is willingly sacrificing themselves as a partial consumption to the snake. Celeste also notices that every 6 months, a learner at the school actually passes away, either by taking their own life or by being harmed randomly by a weapon. It turns out that Celeste's great-grandmother, so her grandmother's mom, was actually a mermaid, which is a marine spirit with a very strong essence and power. And clearly, those gifts and abilities have been passed on not only to Celeste's own grandmother, but to Celeste herself. And despite her not having fully embraced or accepted her gifts, the spirit does communicate with her, warns her of things that are happening or things that are to come, protects her from people who try to bewitch her. Remember what I said? When the person who was not fond of us brought the money, I had a dream. And in that dream, I was warned to take a specific type of medicine in order to strengthen the ancestors and the spirits that reside within me. Had I not taken that medicine, things may have gone sideways completely. But in that seizing, that crippling that happens, that is literally you, the human being rendered useless, and there being a battle in the spiritual realm. Same thing when Celeste's defenses were upped. When she went to the school, she stopped being affected and she started being more spiritually aware and more spiritually in tune. When grandmother number 2 was telling Celeste all those things that she had told her in part 1 of the story, Celeste herself wasn't really sure what she was on about, because according to her, whenever she comes home from school or wherever, she's usually really exhausted and falls into a very deep sleep. She would wake up later, have her dinner, and then go right back to sleep again. And during her primary school years, she used to be very good at her schoolwork without studying. Now that she's in high school, unfortunately, it is deteriorating. So, my love, it is going to continue to deteriorate up until you do what? Up until you embrace and you accept what is going on with you. You are going to start to feel extremely sleepy in school, especially since you're soon going to be in grade 12, right? Remember, most of our ancestors went to traditional schools. So when they see you progressing in Western schools, it doesn't work well for them. They feel that you are going to neglect them and focus on the modern and Western way of living without having gone through all the various initiation rituals or initiation steps that all of our ancestors and therefore all of us are meant to go through within our life and spiritual journeys. So because Celeste also listens and takes the advice of her grandmother, she zooms in on these dreams, which are usually important communication from the spiritual or ancestral realm. She gets to learn from her great-grandmother that the school is actually a cult, is run by a cult. Most Christian churches, by the way, are cults. This shouldn't come as a shock and surprise to you. This is not a propaganda that we're asking you to subscribe to. These are just simply facts. The more you stick around my page and I tell you these stories that are coming from citizens in Southern Africa, other parts of Africa, and even the diaspora, you are going to come to see that there is a common link and a common theme amongst all of these institutions that are run by religious authority figures. Great-grandma goes on to tell her that anyone who takes up the post of headmaster becomes the leader of the cult and is directly involved in the sacrifice of students, learners at the school who are passing away like clockwork every 6 months, being fed to this dark and sinister entity in exchange for what? The same old things: money, respect, and power. Things that you should work on yourself to gain from your family, your community, and society at large, not by snatching it, harnessing it, stealing it from innocent people because you are too lazy to become a better person. Fortunately, Celeste and I'm sure a bunch of the other students are aware that the so-called respect that they are trying to garner and harness is really just an aura of fear. Remember I told you, all of these religious institutions, they work on fear and shame and intimidation in order to get you, the lamtutus, the sheep, the innocents, to do all the weird and crazy evil things that they want you to do for them, and they hide behind the guise of prayer and righteousness. It's all just a front. All of them deep down in the core lack accountability, lack authenticity, lack honesty, and lack the ability to stand up within themselves and to do the right thing. Trust and believe me, I have lived most of my life with people like these, and I promise you, they are all the same. Don't come and tell me that there are true men of God out there, because I have never ever met a single one. Of course, nobody ever disagrees with the headmaster / preacher. They're too afraid. Even the parents who are supposed to be looking out for and protecting their children, which I find very shocking. Because this is your child. You should be doing anything and everything, giving all that you have to make sure that this part of you, this part of your blood is protected and looked out for and cared for. But they don't, right? Because they seek the approval, usually, of these so-called authority figures. They are equally just sheep. The kids, the children, the students are usually way smarter than the parents. Also, this current generation of millennials, Gen Zs, Gen Alphas, We are way more mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and shadow mature than our parents will ever be. That's why so many of us are now leaving home. We are cutting our parents off. We are going no contact because we see through the bullshit, and our ancestors are working overtime to make sure that we heal all the ancestral traumas that happen, that we heal our bloodlines, that we make sure that we and our children never have to go through the same rubbish that we went through with our parents, the traumas that they put us through, the dishonor and disrespect, the bullying, the shaming, the harming of our souls, our bodies, our minds, and our essence, all because they themselves, unfortunately, were brought up to be ignorant, not accountable, and to just say yes to other religious authority figures. So the brainwashing worked, sadly. As I mentioned earlier, the headmaster does not like the spiritually gifted children in the school. That means that the children in the school who have ancestral callings, who are clairvoyants, who are psychic, who are mediums, are picked on. They are singled out, they are picked on, they are discouraged from wearing their traditional regalia, they are discouraged from taking part in their traditional rituals, they are made to feel shame, they are made to feel bad, they are made to feel dirty, and I need you to understand that this is not true and this is not the case. You need to remember that this is all a programming, a brainwashing that has been conducted against us by our colonizers. There was no Christianity before they came. So are you telling me all of our ancestors ended up in hell before the white people came? Are you serious? Because I assure you they're not. If they were, they wouldn't be chatting to us. Also, why are these religious institutions so terrified of so-called dead people? Right? They say it's just dead people and we should let them be. We do let them be, but they are part of our DNA. So you're telling me that I should deny and ignore the genetic information that's in my DNA? How? Aren't you the same people who are having ancestry testing, DNA testing? You promote all of that, you promote family trees. That's the same thing we're doing. The difference between us is that we are honest and authentic in what we are doing. Our ancestors actually promote healing. We do not start institutions called church whereby we discriminate against people who speak out, we discriminate against people who are different in their sexual orientation or gender identification, we discriminate against people who do not do everything that we tell them to do. Have you guys noticed that you only get help from the church once you do what they want you to do? For as long as you're not giving them your tithe, they don't give a shit about you. For as long as you are not falling down when they instruct you to fall down, they're not going to help you. No, they're not. You need to wake up and see these institutions for exactly what they are. Ciao. Subscribe to my YouTube channel where I'll be going deeper into this. For now, let's give Celeste some advice on what she should do in order to harness her abilities and to make sure that her life going forward is somewhat easier and more fulfilling. I am extremely passionate about that topic. I am extremely passionate about ancestral veneration. I am extremely passionate about the awakening of the African collective and opening our eyes to the truth and reality of what it is. We live under these whack-ass institutions like our government, our political leaders, who are doing nothing for us because we have forgotten who we are. Nkosiami, please, we need to fix this. Nobody's going to fix it for us. wealthy South Africans, middle-class South Africans, I'm speaking specifically to you. You can hide in your gated community all you want. At the end of the day, when things start burning outside, your gated community is going to burn down right along with it. You're going to wake up one day and find that your whole estate now belongs to some foreign mafia. Yes, it will. So, Celeste, my advice to you, step 1, your grandmother needs to take you through the official ritual of introducing you to all your ancestors, not just the marine spirits. You walk with more than just marine spirits. The first spirits that you need to acknowledge is your angels and your guides, specifically in the form of your mother and your great-grandmother, followed by each of the blood ancestors, each of the water ancestors, and all of the other ones who come to you, who want to work through your body and want to be healed and uplifted through you. Once that is done, you then need to have a ceremony yokuvumela. That is to say, once you've been introduced and you understand the purpose of them coming to you outside of the healing, you need to accept the assignment that they are giving you. Usually it's an assignment to heal members of your family, members of your community, and by proxy, you then end up healing yourself. You would then need to go and get the tools that those ancestors used to use, or new tools that they're going to show you in order to fulfill your duties. The third thing that you need to do is you need to have a ceremony yokushweleza. Unfortunately, I don't know what it's called in other languages, but this is a ceremony of apology and beseeching. You are asking your ancestors to have mercy on you. As you mentioned, you used to perform very well in school without having to do much, and now your natural intelligence is deteriorating. This is showing that your ancestors are becoming impatient. They are having a fear that they are going to lose you to the modern ways of the world. So you need to ask them. You need to ask them to have mercy on you because you're so young. Ask them to allow you to finish at least up until matric. Then my advice to you is to take a gap year, 2, even 3. You're not going to miss out on anything. I promise you, you're not going to miss out on anything. I wish I had done that. Unfortunately, I went straight from matric to university, and as a result, I was taken out of university by my ancestors. So take that gap year, 2 or 3, go through your initiation by how your family decrees initiation to be. Understand your purpose, understand what your duties are going to be, and I promise you, by the time you come back to regular life, you are going to be a completely elevated human being. Your ancestors will be elevated, everything will make sense, everything will be easier, and you are going to be successful beyond belief. Thank you for sharing your story with all of us, and I hope that this advice helps not just you, but anyone else who needs it. If you would like to share your story with me, here is my email address. You can also find it on my profile. Stay safe out there. Stay woke out there. Kukhanye kwande.